righty. Now, my next guest says that caution is needed as we move forward. I want to bring in Banríon Capital Management founder and CEO, Shana Sissel. And Shana, you also, though, wrote that the strong earnings growth has been able to support above average multiples. We're going to flash a chart here, and Lance Robert put this out. And if you look at the top there, folks, in the red, we're actually breaking out through the top of earnings expectations through the roof. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff. In fact, it's so good, some people think it's too lofty. So if earnings live up to the hype, is this rally justified, Shana?
Yeah, it is justified, but I do think that we need to be cautious. We are seeing peak earnings, peak multiples, stock markets hitting new highs. There's definitely momentum behind it. We've seen a crescendo across different indices all hitting peaks at the same time, which is usually a short-term positive bullish signal. But at the same time, we have some softness in the labor markets, inflation's ticking higher. The Fed did cut rates, but they're still cautious. The economy seems to be going forward pretty well, but ultimately, we are due for a pullback. We've seen it a little bit in pockets, but we haven't seen a broad market correction in quite some time, and it would be healthy if we saw one. That doesn't mean that I am not bullish. It just means that I would be cautious, because when you are hitting all-time highs, the opportunity for profit taking comes along, and so there could be some softness, which would be a better entry point for people who aren't already participating.
But, and I know you talk a lot, particularly more recently, about managing position size, sector exposure, and being prudent. Does that mean, though, right now, would you start to make your portfolio a little bit more defensive?
I don't know if I'd make it defensive. I think we need to be careful about the terms we use. I think that I would be cautious about my risk profile. And that doesn't mean I want to be defensive. It means I want to make sure that my position sizes don't get too out of whack from where I want them to be. And I might be looking at ways in which I can manage overall risk in the portfolio. Specifically, as you know, I love alts. So taking on some global macro, managed future positions, some hedged equity positions would be prudent at this point. So there's a number of different ETFs you can do that with, MRSK, CBLS, things of that nature. But I would just be prudent in managing the risk in my position sizes, because if you get too over your skis, you're likely to have one or two names kind of ruin the momentum you have going on. And that is where I think investors should be looking to make sure that their portfolio is in line with where their targets are.
What about small caps here?
So small caps are interesting. They have broadly underperformed for quite some time. There's been some changes in the makeup of small caps that has been bearish. It hasn't been in the positive for small caps, mostly as it relates to the IPO market. And so there's a lot more falling knives and rising stars that are in the small cap indices. That said, it looks like the fundamentals are starting to look healthier. We definitely are seeing momentum. We've seen the Russell 2000 hit some highs recently in conjunction with the S&P 500. That's positive. It seems like the earnings expectations are now more reasonable and the multiples are more reasonable. So I think that small caps are a place where there is some opportunity, but I don't know if I would want to do it on a stock-by-stock basis. I think small caps is a place where you maybe want to look at an active manager, or even if you're going to do an index, look at the S&P 600 versus the Russell 2000, because there's more of a quality bias. I think it's really hard to pick stocks in small caps these days. And so I really would want to be careful and make sure that I'm investing in something that's got more of a quality bias and is able to better discern where those falling knives are.
All right. Hey, we always like the voice of reason, right? To tamper or our enthusiasm, because, I can go crazy, particularly on a Friday. Shana, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right,
Thank you.
folks.